Hey guys, Fat Man is back. Thought I'd do this little update video. A while back I showed you the holster for my Makarov, and I carried it for probably about close to a week, and found that a few things that I didn't like about it. Oh, no magazine. Weapons clear, no mag. There were a few things. It was cut. It needed to be cut down farther here. And the sweat shield was it seemed a little bit big. So what I did is I narrowed the sweat shield up a little bit. I brought it back a little here, mostly back in the corner, and I left it higher here. And I brought this down farther on both sides. I took my belt loop off and I put new snaps in it, so they're a good, a much sturdier snap. And I cut the enclosed bottom off it. It still goes past the muzzle, but I think it looks better this way and it carries more comfortably this way. But I'll know more after I carry it. You know, you can't tell nothing just carrying it around the house for a minute or two. So I'll carry it for a couple of days and let you know. It still comes down around the muzzle here, so it still protects it. The sweat shield still covers all the metal, except a little bit by the trigger guard. But now I can get in there and get a good firm grip on the firearm before I draw it. So if I do have to defend myself with it, which I don't think is going to happen, especially where I live, and I'm a big enough guy that most people tend to stay away from me anyway. But I should be able to get a good grip before I draw it. And I think that's probably the most important part of any holster, is you need to be able to get a good hold of it. I cut the sweat guard up a little bit so that I wasn't grabbing any leather there. And when I draw the weapon, I've got a good grasp on it and I could bring the sights online. So that's where that one is at. I'm done with that. I think it's a decent design. I've made a redesign. I've cut the pattern out for a new one. I just still need to get some leather. And I still need to tweak this a little bit. I'm going to cut a little lower here and here, straighten this a little bit. And I'm going to try to find some different kind of a clip. My Sigma holster, which, set that off to the side, which I took this clip off of another old crappy little holster and I put it on here when I made this one. And I carried this for, I probably had it on for a day, and I found that it wasn't comfortable. And what it was is on the clip it came straight down to about here, and when it would wrap around the firearm, it would not wrap around it in that point because of the steel clip. So I cut the corner off the clip, and now, before I took the stitching out anyway, it wrapped around nice and felt good. So now what I'm going to do is I need to stitch this up in a little farther and up a little farther, so it's a little tighter on the Sigma. And that was really all I needed to do on it. The rest of it, I could get a hold of the firearm really well, and I could stick it in there, but I'm not gonna. So that's all I'm going to do to this one. Is I'm going to trim some off here. I'm going to probably bring that stitch in maybe another 1/4 of an inch, and then I'm going to wet form it around the Sigma, so I can get some forming around the trigger guard on both sides, and it'll retain the firearm better. Not that it doesn't retain it well now. It actually retains it very well, and there's, the work that I've done is minimal to it. And then I'll clean up the edges and dress them with some dye. It is black. I don't know if I'm going to dye the whole thing. As you'll recall, I had some of the artificial sinew looking thread. I did get to Hobby Lobby and pick up another spool of black, so I can go around it with black. So I may not do anything more than that. I am going to try to clean up the grooves a little bit. Well, if I had a stitch groover, I'd just groove it and it would clean everything up for me. But I'll try to clean that up a little bit. And we're going to glue it together and stitch her back up. And I'll show you the finished product. I may take and cut this back just a little bit so that it comes around a little better. But it really does, it stays open when I have it on my big fat butt. I generally carry about 3/330 on my right side there, and it seemed to carry pretty well. Just like I said, that clip part didn't allow it to roll around it very well, and it was a little loose. So we're just going to kind of tighten things up a little bit, and I'm not sure if I want to take anything off around here. I think when I wet form it, it's really going to firm up nice around there. And this one I think I'm going to harden a little bit. I don't know how that's going to work with this pre-dyed leather, but I think I'm going to throw it in the oven a little bit and see if that does anything after we're done forming it, just to get it to try to keep its shape as well as possible. So that's where that holster's at. I know it looks really goofy and really simple, but as you recall, the Sigma has that proprietary rail on it, which I don't like, and if it wasn't for the serial number being molded right into that rail, I would cut it off. But I can't do that, so we have to get along and do with what we got. This is another holster for the Sigma. I've showed this before. It was white leather, and the dye just doesn't seem to, I don't know, I got to figure out a better way to dye it. So I'm probably not going to do anything with this except my belt holes are absolutely huge. I have an 1.5 inch belt, and I cut these to 2 inch. I wanted it to be as standard as possible, and I did plan on using this holster for competition. I since have a different holster for that. So I think what I'm going to do is shorten these up a little bit, and I may cut a little off here and cut this off and just kind of contour it a little differently so that I can change the size of the belt holes in it. Get these smaller down to, well, they don't need to be anywhere near the size that they are. But I'm just going to move them in right to the edge of this stitch line, and I'll probably right here at the bottom of that stitch line come across here and then just cut all this off. So that's kind of my plan. I'm going to do the same over here. I don't want to shorten it up too much because then it won't conform, and when it does, I don't know how well you'll be able to see it, but when you form it, like come around your body, it tends to grab the firearm better. Which is kind of the way that a pancake holster works. This is kind of a, I don't know what you'd call it. I call it a slide holster, but I don't really think it is. I don't know what it is. It's my own design. That's what it is. It's mine. So, I wanted to give you that little update. This is Sunday. I'm going to try to get this posted yet tonight. Tomorrow is Monday, and I'm stuck working, so there will not be a breakfast with the Fat Man tomorrow. The following Monday there will be, without a doubt. But as for this Monday, I have to wind up going up to the Twin Cities to the hospital to take somebody up there. So I need to do that. And with that being said, I think that's going to be all for today. A little update on the Makarov holster. This was another holster for the Makarov. It's kind of a slide holster design. Again, I've noticed this before I even wore it, that this belt loop, there's just not enough material here. Needs to be a little more material. Other than that, the belt loops are too big again. So it tended, when it was on my body, it tended to tip out a little bit because the Makarov is an all steel frame gun. I don't have the aluminum frame. I have the Bulgarian Makarov that's all steel. So it tended to kind of tip out, especially with a full magazine. So that's where that holster is. I don't know what I'm going to do with it. I think I'm going to try to copy the design. I think I have the pattern here somewhere. Might have got lost in the move. I don't know. But I might try to copy it. Move this belt loop a little forward, make them a little shorter. The angle was perfect. Everything else about it fit beautifully on the Makarov, and I would have no complaints. It does need to cut down a little here so that you can get your finger in there. My fat fingers don't make it. So, but easily, that could easily be cut down here and give you enough room to get in there without any problem with where this loop is. So that is, I like the design. This needs to come forward a little, but hey, that's part of the design process. Is you make your prototypes and you see how they work out, and you go from there. So, all that said, I'm going to be hopefully getting to the Twin Cities in another week or two here to get some leather. I'm going to try to get some decent leather to work with instead of the Hobby Lobby stuff that I've been using. Other than that, that's about it. So y'all take care, God bless, and stay safe. Thanks.